All right, Shalom. I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashmi Havashah, Wahar Rakah Kwadash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also, would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders, a great millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, want to say Shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Aqua, which would be you brothers along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, I just wanted to go into another quick lesson, pretty much centered around the times and seasons that we in, which would be considered monumental, especially for those amongst us who have been exposed to the proper knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures, all right, which develops and cement, if you will, this idea of truly understanding the magnitude of this moment and the fact that what you're witnessing right now is the fall of a dynasty, in the form of the so-called white man who is the driving force behind this place America, Babylon, which at one time was great. This place America was great indeed, as it is written in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, when referring to America, which the scriptures coined as Babylon the Great, all right? And there's no coincidence that this guy Trump, in his whole campaign was rallying around the idea of making America great again. See, that proves that this is the most powerful book here on the planet. All right, the Bible reigns supreme and was pretty much spot on in its identifying and targeting of this place America, being erected here in the last days and would be in power, if you will, at the return of our Lord Yahweh Shah. See? And this decline of this great kingdom, America, Babylon the Great, is being made manifest, through this swarm of activity, whether it's in the form of this civil unrest that you see taking place here in America, these different protests, sedition, insurrection of the people. All right. You have the American dollar on the verge of an epic collapse, which that in itself should be a testament of the fall of this place, America. Why? Because the very fabric of this place was built upon, trade. Okay, America is an import, and it tells you that in the book of Ezekiel, the 17th chapter, and referring to this place, America, is known as the city of trade or the city of traffic. So the fact that the American dollar, this financial structure that's in place, is as volatile as it have ever been, that in itself is a sign that this place is spiraling out of control and pretty much circling the drain. Not to mention you have these different farmers shutting down. You have a recall on beef, and different meat, which is going to contribute to that great famine that's foretold to sweep through this place, America. The food is going to become scarce. The America, as you know it, the very landscape of this place is about to change dramatically and drastically, man. See? And also, although subtle yet obvious, it's the decline of Christianity, man. Now you might say, well, what does the decline of Christianity have to do with the downfall of America? Well, when you consider Christianity, and when I say Christianity, I mean in the modern sense of the word, these different denominations, well, it's pretty much a part of the very makeup of America. This is a permanent fixture in America, so-called religion, especially Christianity, man. First and foremost, it's in bed with government. These different churches are aligned with the government by way of a 501c3 tax exempt. All right. And furthermore, this is what contributes to keeping Jake in further derision. Pretty much Christianity is nothing more than an instrument, if you will, used to keep you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans from returning to your power. Case in point, whenever our people is presented with this information, the proper knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures, they revert back to the very thing that they was brought up on, meaning Christianity. They cleave to the principles of Christianity, and that's usually the source behind these arguments, these back and forth whenever you dialogue with our people. The source is that hell of a drug known as Christianity, man, which again has proven to be somewhat of an obstacle or a hurdle that our people can't get over versus you believers out there. You brothers as well as you sisters alike. When you heard this truth for the first time, it resonated with your spirit and you cast everything else away, man. All right, anything that you might have subscribed to, and mainly Christianity. And guess what? That was foretold to happen. Matter of fact, let's start off with that. In the book of Isaiah, the 30th chapter, in the 22nd verse, it says, ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Yeah, and the reason why the scriptures frame these graven images as images of silver and molten images of gold, because we somewhat held these different religions in high regard, especially Christianity. We perceived it to have somewhat value to it, you know? And that's our people. Man, I challenge you, man. You walk up in your grandma's house and rip down her picture of Cesare Borgia. Man, she gonna call the cops on you, all right? Again, it says, ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. And that's where we come in at. We defile those very things that we perceive to have somewhat value to it. See? It says, thou shalt cast them away as a minister's cloth. See? And hey, this is the scriptures giving it to you raw, all right? And giving you a vivid illustration. But that was the case, man. You know? As if you came across your woman's rag when she on her ministry cycle. If that happens, you're going to throw it away with haste, you know? But that's what we did, see? It says, thou shalt cast them away as a minister's cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. Yeah, we in the spirit of, get that shit out of here, man. All right? Whatever you might bring or present to us, if it's not in harmony with this truth, we're in the mind state of, get it out of our sight. We want nothing to do with it. We convinced over here, right? So, back to the subject matter, if you will, Christianity is pretty much a fixture of America. And as you see the things that contribute to the downfall of this place, such as the things that I mentioned to open up this video, well, you could throw Christianity in there as well. Why? Because when you submit to Christianity, when you subscribe to that teaching, you pretty much are trusting in Esau. You reverencing the so-called white man. It's not the face of Christianity, Esau. All right, this image of Cesare Borgia, sweet Jesus, that's the so-called white man. That's nothing more than a promotion of white supremacy, man. Simple as that. All right, matter of fact, you know what, let me grab something else before we really get into this. This is, the book of Isaiah, the 10th chapter. In the 20th verse, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, and we in that day, all right? And you notice the scriptures are centered around prophecy, So if you subscribe to whoever out there, whether it's in the form of an Israelite group or whoever claim to build a foundation of the scriptures, right? If it's not based upon prophecy, then you should, detach yourself from those teachings, man. Okay? Everything is centered around prophecy. See, again, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and that's concerning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who would be numbered amongst that precious elk known as the elect. All right? Those who are going to be counted worthy to see the salvation of our Lord Yahushua. You will be considered that remnant of Israel. See, it says that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. Yeah, let's read this again. All right. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, the elect, right, such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them. Right. Meaning we're not going to trust on the very one that smote us, man. And that's what our people do. They stay upon the very ones that smote them. All right. They enemies, man. They trust or they stay on the very ones that oppress them. See? But according to this prophecy, we would no longer stay upon this man. Meaning we're not going to trust in the very one that oppressed us, the very one that smote us. And when you subscribe to Christianity, that's what you do. You trust in the so-called white man when you subscribe to Christianity. Again, it says, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord. Yeah, we put our trust in the Lord. See, the Holy One of Israel in truth. And it's by way of this truth that we have cast off whatever the so-called white man has presented to us, as packaged and delivered to us, man. We rejected it, okay? We no longer stay upon him. We no longer trust upon him, but we trust in this doctrine. We trust in the words of Yahweh Shema Shai. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's click on this word stay real quick. Let's see what the definition is right here. All right. The Hebrew word that would be sha'an, right? It says to lean on. See? Trust in. See that? So when the scriptures say we shall no longer stay upon him that smote us, it pretty much means we are no longer going to lean on him or trust in the very one that smote us, man. And Christianity was set up to accomplish that, to keep you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans trusting in your oppressor, all right? Trusting in this idea of turning the other cheek, forgive and forget. It was pretty much set up to basically take the edge off you, and to dumb you down and to keep you in that spirit of love and peace. Meanwhile, the bankers is running circles around you, racking up, all right? Well, now we're in a time where the Lord is taking away that mechanism, if you will, or that weapon, so to speak, of the so-called white man in the form of Christianity, which has, to this point, been very effective, man. All right? So real quick, I want to share with you all a little information. And the source is from Facts and Trends, which this came out January 7th, 2020, the year of prophecy. And this is fairly recent polls, if you will. It says, as churches begin ministry in a new decade, recent research can shed light on some areas of concern, issues that need to be confronted, and opportunities for optimism. Now it says, here are 20 vital stats for ministry in 2020, which we're going to just, read over the first couple of stats. It says 45% of Americans now attend church regularly, which this number here has, due to the coronavirus, spiked under 10%, maybe 5%. All right, these churches are now open. See? So even this 45% of Americans now attending church is not accurate. See that? And there's a method to this. See? We're going to show you that, in this lesson. It says, due to a 10-point drop in the past decade, America is no longer a majority church attending nation. So that proves that, the churches, the idea of these churches, Christianity in the modern sense of the word, all these different denominations, is tied to America, Babylon the Great. This is a part of the landscape of America, the very fabric of America. See? It says America is no longer a majority church attending nation. According to Pew, 45% of American adults say they attend religious services monthly or more. Gallup also found two important indicators of America's view of the church reached an all-time low, see, in 2019. The percentage of Americans who say they are a member of a church, synagogue, or mosque dropped to 50%. That's a staggering number right there. It says, while the percentage who say they have confidence in the church or organized religion fell to 36%. So even those who was holding on hope to the idea of church or religion, being somewhat of substance, all right, having substance to it, even that number fell. See? It says, it's the second stat. It says 6 in 10 churches are plateaued or declining. See? 6 in 10 churches, man. That's 60%, roughly, right? 6 in 10 churches are plateaued or declining. See? 6 in 10 Protestant churches are plateaued or declining in attendance, and more than half saw fewer than 10 people become new Christians in the past 12 months. Let's read this right here. All right. It says, and more than half saw fewer than 10 people, 10 people, man, become new Christians in the past 12 months. So out of a 12-month window, you have fewer than 10 people to become new Christians, man. So nobody is flocking to Christianity. See? And again, this is all an effort to establish truth. Matter of fact, let me grab some real quick. Right here in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, and starting at the 27th verse, it says, for evil shall be put out, and deceit, see, and deceit shall be quenched. Yeah, and these churches are the main hubs or platforms, if you will, where deceit is on display. You know, when you consider the efforts of the so-called white man to play on the psyche of you people out there, you know, obviously he have his media, you know, in the form of his entertainment, whether it's sports or the music industry. But one of the most, if not more effective methods this man used is church, you know, and in this case, Christianity. Why? Because it actually plays on the emotions of you people out there. See? But now we're in a time where that form of deceit is actually being quenched. Again, it says, for evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. And that's another thing. You know, there's nothing but corruption amongst these churches, man. It's nothing more than a money racket. You know, that's why you have these prosperity pimps in the form of TD Fakes and Creeplo Dollar. You know, you got this guy Kenneth Copeland and Joel Osteen. Right now, they scrambling, man. You know, because there's a decline. There's a spike in numbers. You know, they losing out on their goodies. Now they present all these different incentives. You know, they're coming up with these different spins to their doctrine and their gospel, right? Because we're in a time where, you know, that deceit is being quenched and that corruption is being overcome, see? It says, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Pretty much meaning this doctrine of Yahushua, the truth will begin to take center stage, you know? And this word is by way of this word that, you know, these different platforms, you know, and mainly Christianity is being overthrown, because this word is not going out void, man. This word is actually accomplishing what it was set out to do. And that's to begin to bring order to the planet Earth and for truth to finally take root. All right. Which brings me to the book of Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter and the 29th verse. It says, it's not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord. See, it's not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. Yeah, and a rock symbolizes foundation. All right. So one of the main foundations here in America is the church, man. See, it's one of the main strongholds, you know, again, which have dominated the minds of our people. But the scriptures say, it's not my word like as a fire, which a fire symbolizes something that consumes, you know. It says, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. So it's this word that's breaking up these congregations. It's this word that's breaking down these strongholds in the form of Christianity, man, and these different doctrines outside of the gospel of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right? So that's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing this word overthrow the very stronghold that has kept our people in check, have kept our people in derision. Matter of fact, this is the book of Deuteronomy, the 12th chapter, in the 3rd verse. It says, and ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars. See, and how are we going to break their pillars? Which, by the way, a pillar symbolizes something that upholds you. You know, a pillar actually holds up a certain foundation, right? Without pillars, then you can't set up a foundation. So a part of the pillars of America has been these churches, man. See, again, it says, and ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars. And we just read what his word is like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. See, it says, and burn their groves with fire. See that? Now, are we literally vandalizing, you know, these different churches? No, it's this word. Okay. Scripture said, my word is like a fire. See, and burn their groves with fire, which, by the way, when you consider a grove, right? A grove is when two trees overlap one another. You know, if you ever been in the woods, you'll have certain trees that overlap one another, and that would be considered a grove. Well, that's how the entrances of these churches are made. Okay? So this grove right here is symbolic to the churches here in America. See? It says, and ye shall overthrow their altars, see, which again symbolizes, you know, the religious, if you will, aspect of America, all right? Or whatever kingdom that might be set up that's contrary to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shah. In this case, this precept right here applies to America. See, it says, and ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars, see, and burn their groves with fire, and ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods. That's why right now, and I challenge any of you out there, if you was to Google Yahweh Shah or Yahweh and Yahweh Shah, images of so-called black men is going to come up. Why? Because we are hewing down the graven images of their gods. See? And how's the Lord hewing down those images? By way of the prophets. Matter of fact, let me prove that real quick. This is the book of Hosea, the 6th chapter, in the 5th verse. It says, therefore have I hewn them by the prophets. See, therefore have I hewn them by the prophets. When you go into that word hewn, it pretty much means to cut down. All right. And what's our weapon of choice here? The scriptures. All right. Which is symbolic to a sword. See, therefore have I hewn them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth. See, it's by way of this word that you see pretty much all this hell beginning to break loose, man. All right, the word is now finally accomplishing what it was set out to do. See? It says, and thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth, which again symbolizes this knowledge. So when you go back here to the book of Deuteronomy, the 12th chapter, and again in the 3rd verse, it says, and ye shall overthrow their altars and break their pillars and burn their groves with fire, and ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. What place? Right here in America, Babylon the Great. You know? And we are destroying the names of your gods, man. Okay, Buddha and Allah, or in this case, God and sweet Jesus, you know? Or any other name out there that you might rally behind, you know, whether it's Yeshua or Shia, you know, or Haya. No, the true names of the true powers of all heavens and earth will be Yahweh and Yahweh Shah. All right. So from there, this is the book of 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, and starting at the 4th verse. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Yeah, this is a spiritual thing over here. Meaning we are not to take a carnal approach in accomplishing the feat of overthrowing Christianity or whatever entity out there, for that matter, that's in conflict with the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah. All right, it's going to be strictly through the spirit that we able to overcome whatever resisting force out there. See, again, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. See, which indeed Christianity has proven to be a stronghold, which have dominated the minds of our people, especially in relation to you returning to your power. The main hurdle that's in your way, the obstacle that you're not willing to get over, is Christianity. See? Verse 5, it says, casting down imaginations. Yeah, and that's what this word was set up to do, right? And every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. See? And you see right now, we are pretty much in the cleanup stages, man. You know, whenever you got Vocab Malone as the poster child for Christianity, that means that's done, man. Okay, we have accomplished the feat of overthrowing that stronghold, breaking it down. See, again, casting down imaginations. What's a part of those imaginations? You know, a place called hell, you know, in the sense of when you die and your spirit is not found in good graces with the one you call God, well, you're going to descend to the underworld, to the abyss, where you're going to be tormented forever and ever by some guy in a red spandex suit, man, with a Triton in his hand. Well, guess what? We casting down that imagination. See, it says casting down imaginations in every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High. See, that proves that this is a spiritual war. And we are casting down everything that exalted itself, you know, against the knowledge of the Most High. Vocab Malone being one, you know. as well as others, right? It says, and bring it into captivity every thought, see, every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach, meaning every philosophy, each and every idea or doctrine, or whatever opposing force out there is going to be brought to the obedience of Hamashiach, or in other words, put in subjection under the truth. What you're witnessing right now is truth finally having its way here on the planet Earth. And in that event, lies, deceit, and falsehood is being overthrown, in the main stronghold which have dominated the minds of you people, and mainly our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that would be the stronghold of Christianity. But what you're witnessing right now is the death of it. So yeah, I just want to touch on that, Lord willing. It was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.